you ever wonder why some countries just seem to get it right with corruption while others are stuck in this seemingly endless fight? It's one of the toughest problems in the world, for sure. But here's the thing, it's not impossible to solve. Turns out there's a playbook, a kind of blueprint from the countries that are actually winning. And today, we're going to break down exactly what's inside.
So just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got Denmark, basically at the top of the class with a corruption perception score of 90. And on the other, the Philippines, with a score of 34. And look, this isn't just some abstract number. That gap, that's a huge difference in public trust, in economic opportunity, and just the basic fairness of a system. It's the difference between a government that truly serves its people and one that's really struggling to.
So that leads us to the billion-dollar question, right? What's the secret sauce? How do you actually bridge a gap that big? Well, it's not about finding one single magic bullet. It's about building an entire system, from the ground up, that's just designed to resist corruption. To figure out how to fix a problem, you've got to know what success even looks like. So first, let's pop the hood and take a look at the engines of the world's least corrupt nations. What makes them tick? When you really dig into it, places like Denmark, Finland, even Singapore, their success rests on these four pillars: political will, strong institutions, rule of law, and transparency. And here's the key. They are all connected. Think of it like a chair. If one leg is wobbly, the whole thing comes crashing down. This is going to be our blueprint for everything we talk about next. Let's start with the big one, the absolute non-negotiable: political will. And I'm not talking about campaign slogans or promises. This is a deep, bone-deep commitment. Singapore is the textbook case. Right from the start, its leaders called fighting corruption a strategic imperative. It was about national survival. That absolute zero-tolerance message from the very top is what made everything else even possible. Now, this next idea is so important. It's a quote that gives us this incredible metaphor to work with. You can have an elite anti-corruption agency, your special forces, but they are basically doomed to fail if the country's entire immune system is sick. Remember that one, because it's crucial. Okay, so now that we have this framework, the four pillars, and that immune system metaphor, let's use it. Let's turn our lens to the Philippines and see what a diagnosis looks like. Whoa, just take a look at this. This number right here, it's the scorecard for the Philippines' lead anti-graft agency, the Office of the Ombudsman, back in 2022. A conviction rate of just 31%. Let that sink in. For every 10 cases they took to court, 7 just fizzled out. That is a massive red flag that the special forces are in serious trouble. But then, get this, the very next year, it shoots up to 73%. Now you might think, hey, that's great, huge improvement. But actually, it's another huge red flag. A healthy justice system delivers consistent results, not this wild roller coaster that makes you wonder if justice just depends on who's in charge that year. It screams instability. And this brings us right back to that metaphor. The ombudsman's inconsistent performance isn't happening in a vacuum. It's a symptom of that bigger problem we talked about. The country's immune system, the whole judiciary, the police force, is seen by many as deeply compromised. When investigations can be botched or judges can be bought, even the best prosecutors in the world don't stand a chance. So what we're talking about here isn't just a system that's weak or inefficient. It's something much more deliberate. It's a concept called the weaponization of law. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when the very rules that are designed to protect us, to ensure accountability, are twisted and used as weapons to do the exact opposite, to shield the powerful from any scrutiny at all. And there is no clearer, more glaring example of this than what happened to a really powerful transparency tool called the SALN, the Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth. In the Philippines, every single public official has to file one of these. It's supposed to be the #1 way for journalists and citizens to spot sketchy, unexplained wealth. So here's how it's supposed to work. The law is crystal clear. The public has a right to inspect these documents. Simple, right? Well, the reality has been completely flipped on its head. Thanks to a 2020 memo from the Ombudsman's office itself, you now need the official's own consent to see their SALN. I mean, it's like asking a bank robber for permission to check the security tapes. It totally guts the entire purpose of the law. This right here is the weaponization of law in action. Okay, so the diagnosis is pretty clear. The system is under some serious strain. So, how do you fix it?
Well, it's going to take an attack from two sides, starting with some major top-down reforms from the government itself.
All right, let's talk specifics. There are 3 urgent priorities for lawmakers. First, fix the SALN mess. Pass a new law that gets rid of that memo and puts every SALN into a public, searchable, digital database. Second, create one strong, comprehensive law to protect whistleblowers. Right now, the people who risk everything to expose corruption have almost no protection. And third, you have to fix campaign finance to cut off the flow of dark money that traps politicians in webs of secret debts to their donors.
But here's the thing. Laws passed in a government building don't mean much on their own. They won't stick without pressure from the outside. And that brings us to the second, equally important front in this fight, a bottom-up revolution in accountability. This is where the power really shifts back to the people. We're talking about building a culture of accountability from the ground up. You start in schools, teaching civic integrity. You create real, official ways for regular citizens to monitor government projects in their own towns. You use technology to create platforms for radical transparency, where all the data is out in the open. And maybe most importantly, you fiercely protect the independent journalists and watchdog groups who are the public's eyes and ears.
So you have these 2 major strategies, the top-down government reform and the bottom-up citizen movement. So what's the ultimate path forward? Is it one or the other? No, it's not one or the other. The real magic happens when you bring them together in what you could call a pincer movement. You need state-led reform coming from the top and empowered citizen accountability pushing from the bottom, both at the same time. The Philippines, of all places, has this powerful history of people power. The key now is to channel that incredible energy into demanding and supporting genuine systemic reform of the state itself. That's how change becomes permanent.
So, it all comes down to this. The playbook exists. The people's energy is undeniable. The question really isn't if a new chapter can be written. The real question is, who will finally be brave enough to turn the page?
Rise up, rise high. Let your spirit take flight. Chase the stars, never back down from the fight. We're warriors inside.